Welcome everybody to this event. It's a big zechut to introduce Rabbi Leuchter to speak to us. A long time ago, I learned in a yeshiva called Ber Yaakov. Whenever I tell anyone I learned in yeshiva Ber Yaakov or Volba, they think it's impossible because it means I was there 40 years ago. That seems like a long time ago. But 40 years ago, I was learning in Ber Yaakov, and I was a young man of 18 or so, and I didn't really fully understand Volba. And there was an older Avrech named Rabbi Leuchter, who was mekarev me and helped me out a lot, and I owe a lot to him for opening my eyes to understanding the ways of Volba. And I've been advising with him on different areas of mental health over the years. And I think it's a great zechut to have his insight in how we should look at mental health as it fits in with Mussar and the proper outlook. Interesting, a few weeks ago, I was at a conference of mental health professionals called Nefesh, and I met a therapist there, and he asked me, did you ever see Rav Volba's ma'amar on psychiatry and religion? I told him the truth is I didn't. And he sent it to me. And I was going to Eretz Yisrael, and I said, I'm going to take it on the plane to read. It's a nice long ma'amar in hard Hebrew. The first half was a little esoteric. I said, okay, I read the first half going there, I'll read the second half coming back. And I actually went to Rav Volba's kever the last day I was there, and I asked him for Siyat L'Shmai to direct me. And I'm reading through this ma'amar over here. What's very interesting is 3 different times he talks about the importance of having Rabbanim trained in areas of mental health. At the end he says, Anu chozrim kan al dirisha. We're going to once again repeat the demand that we should yaganu chugim l'Rabbanim, we should have groups for rabbis, latnot nehem, to give them yidiot b'sisiyot, the basic knowledge al sibuchim nafshiyim, on the confusions of the soul. Yidiot al mniat hitabdut, to know how to prevent suicide, etc., and to how to deal with people that tried suicide and weren't successful, etc. And he repeats it 3 different times, the importance today that Rabbanim have some basic understanding in mental health. This was written, I don't know, 40 years ago, 30 years ago. I'm not exactly sure it was written in times I'm sure have changed. Bezrat Hashem will get some more insight from Rabbi Leuchter, who is one of his prized Talmidim. He learned with him the Chashitah for maybe 20 years or so. So without any further ado, it's the Kabbalah to introduce Reuven.
When you speak about mental health and Mussar, we have first to have a clarity on what Mussar speaks. Where do you work? Where is the area you could work in the way of Mussar with yourself? So I want to look at that from what the Mesilas Shalom says. He says that the Avodah Hashem is like a maze or a labyrinth, the Russian way of living. It's like a Gana Mebuche, which you have to find your way. So first and foremost, the Mesilas Shalom says that Be'etzem Avodah Hashem speaks only to people which want to enter. A person which doesn't want to enter, he is not wanting to reach the center. So then you don't speak Avodah Hashem. Avodah Hashem you speak in a case where there is a desire that you want to reach. And then you are in the Gana Mevucha. But when someone is not interested in Avodah and his situation makes that he is totally estranged from the whole thing, so the work with Mussar, in that sense, is not so relevant. Mussar. You have to try to convince him, things like this. So you see already that Mussar is not an overall trufa. It's not overall what you do with Mussar. But that's not the main point. I only wanted to first clarify that you shouldn't think that the Mussar you learn in yeshivas or things like this is applicable in every single situation you face. You first have to want to work, want to do Avodat Hashem. There's another thing which is called that you work with your midot. That means you have midas in your life, which these midas you have to utilize. So that could be even without Avodas Hashem, because you have to relate without thinking about Avodas Hashem. You have to relate at home to your children, to your wife. You have to relate to the customer. You have to relate to other people. You have to do things in the world. That also can be a place of work. Yeah? Doesn't have to do so much with Mussar in that sense, not Mussar, because Mussar is a thing which goes towards Avodas Hashem, but it's also a similar thing that you work with your midas. But the main point in that moshel of the Gana Mavucha is that the whole point is there that you are facing a conflict. That means you're facing a place where the different ways are going in different directions. And you have to choose a direction. And there, that's what he says, there you have to make a cheshbon. You have to try to think, what do I do when I'm facing a decision? Two ways in front of me, and I have to face a decision, and I have to try to think, what do I have to do? So that's the main point of everything which is called, is it Avodat Hashem, or is it Mussar, or is it any Avodah is, you speak to the Bchira of the person. The person is standing in a place of Bchira, there he is standing, and you have to speak to that point of the Bchira of the person. He should make the Bchira in the right way. That is what Avodah Hashem is about, and that is what every Avodah is about. You have to find a way that you are comfortable or in a certain way secure, that you are making a right decision. So that's the basis of Avodah. Now, the point of mental illness, a person who is mentally not healthy, he is not able to make a bchira. He is not able. He is caught in a place where the possibility to make a bchira is gone. He has no possibility to make a bchira. So in Mela, those are two different areas of helping a person. You have to help a person that he should be able, again, to be a boichel. So that's what you do when you treat a person for mental illness. He lost in his place, we'll speak about that, he lost in his place the ability to be a boichel, and you try to help him that he should get out of that dangerous situation, that he's caught in something. He can't choose. There are no two ways in front of him. So that he loses in a certain way his human being. Because a human being is a boicha. That's what a human being is about. You can have a bchira. That means you see that there are two ways in front of you. But mental illness makes that you do not see that. You can't see it. There's only one way. There's only one thing which dominates your thought process. That doesn't have to be 24/7, but it dominates your thought process in certain areas. There's only one way, and there's no bchira in front of you. So that has to be very clear, that those are two different things. Avodah Musarit doesn't, any avodah does not speak to that. It's a realm which is not, you have to make the person, he should make the right decision. The person makes no decision, because that's what mental illness is about. He makes no decision at all. He's caught somewhere. Yeah? So there you have to be careful. This distinction, we'll speak about that, this distinction is the basic distinction in between avodah or any avodas amidas or any development as a personality and mental illness. Because mental illness is not dealing with that you do the right, you make the right decision. Mental illness is dealing with that you should give back to the person the possibility that he should make any decision in that realm where he is caught. Yeah? Okay. So I was sitting as a young man by Rav Olbe, and the Rav Olbe was, and now you have to be very careful, Rav Olbe was pushing me on that I have to read books on psychiatry. Not that he wanted me to be a psychiatric doctor. Only in order to get a feeling for that, what are the circumstances where I have to suspect that there is mental illness going on? Why do you have to know that? Huh? Why do you have to know? Why do you have to know why do you have to know? It's not okay, so he's sick or not sick. You don't have to learn as a mashgiach, you don't have to learn all the different possibilities of any bodily illnesses, and you don't have to know that. So why do you have to know a mental illness? So when he's sick, so what shall I do? But I will try to do my best in working and encouraging him. So when that doesn't work and he gets out of control, so we'll dive it then. So why do you have to know that beforehand? The point is, because when you are encouraging a person, when you try to encourage a person to make the right decision, but he is not capable to do that, you are about to endanger his life. That is a life-threatening situation. You could push a person over the cliff. Yeah? That you could do. And you try with a good-hearted approach, you try to be very nice, and you try to do the right thing, but this is not enough. And you can't rely on that they only want L'Shem Shomayim, and they only want to do the right thing, and that Mirz Hashem will work. You can't rely on that, because there are certain circumstances when you encourage a person, it's like putting salt into an open wound, and it gets worse. And your encouragement makes things worse.
Can you expand on that?
What?
Muscle, expand.
I will speak about that. So that and the encouragement can make things worse. So one has to be careful not to do that. Yeah? The longest is like this, that I try to tell a person, look, you'll be stronger a little bit, and you'll learn a little bit. Like let's say a person comes to me with a depression. We'll speak about that. What are the signs of that, or what is happening to a person when he has this problem? But he comes to me with a depression, and he's very depressed, and he's not active, and he feels that he really can't do anything. And then I tell him, okay, you will have a chizuk, and perhaps you'll learn, and that will be a Siyata Dishmaya. And I really mean it. I don't want to be any mean person. I want to be the right person, and I really mean that I want to help the person that is able to do something. That is he's not able. That means he's not able to learn. He's not able to do. He's not able to be active. And now he feels that he gets pushed away from me, because I make him feel that he is not connected to me. Because whenever I tell him, you have to do the right decision, that will be okay, learn a little bit, and he's not able to do it, he will feel more disconnected from the world. The way he's already disconnected because he can't be active, and he lost that anchor point too. He lost me too. And that is a place where you could push the person in isolation, and then he has to find a solution for himself. And once in a while, the solution for himself is very dangerous, because a person which is totally isolated, he is not able to bear that. And he'll do things to himself which are not recommended. Yeah? That happened, for example, when you have that is the point of this connection which you have to feel to the person which is sick, and that you can't do that when you are not professional, but that happens once in a while by a person which is which is in the real depression, and only the family wants to, they don't want to make that public, you know, I understand that, and they want to encourage the person, and he gets more and more isolated, and then the family pushes the person over the cliff. And that happened several times in my lifetime with other people. Yeah? People were pushed into jumping off the roof. They were pushed towards that because people wanted to help them. But they wanted to help them with encouragement, and it will be okay, and we are here for you, and you have to know that it's a good thing, and where you are able, and I believe in you, and you really can do it, and they wanted to encourage the guy, and the guy can't do it. You cannot do that. You cannot, you lost your prayer. You cannot do it. And then all this encouragement is turned over into a big scream against him that he is worth nothing, and he is only isolated more and more, and that is a very dangerous situation. Yeah? So the normal, for example, the normal advice by a person which is suffering from depression is that not the family should take care of a person which is in a danger of making a suicidal attempt or something like this. The family is not the right person or the right people to deal with that. It's not. Because the only thing the family can tell the guy is, you know what you do to us, and it will be so, and we so much love you, and you can't do it, and that makes him more isolated. More isolated. And you don't want that. You want to help the person, but you don't know how. You don't know how do you do that, and you do it out of a good-hearted approach, and you make 180 degrees the wrong approach. Life danger. Life danger. You can kill a person. And so when I was a mashgiach, because I deal with bochim, I had to know my limitations. Not that I treat a person which is mentally ill. I don't do that. I do not. Never ever. I do not, because that's not my business. It's not the thing which I can do. You need to be professional for that. You have to know what you are doing. In these days, you have also the aid, the possibility that you have medical aid for that, but you can't take pills. That was by the time Mashgiach wrote that 50 years ago. By the time 50 years ago, you really didn't have all these psychoactive drugs the way we have today. And you have Halidol, that was there available, I think. So it was the whole situation was very different. But the basic situation today is the same thing. Because you can't interfere with your own personality and with your own thought and what you think is the best thing to do. And I understand you that you want that. But your whole approach of approaching another person is always based on that you want to enhance his decision. You know, you could decide. I will tell you, you can do it. I believe in you. You can do it. And when you are caught in a place where you can't do it, this whole believe in you, I can do it, that turns over into a very sad and a very aggressive screaming at the person. Just imagine, yeah? Just imagine someone tells you, you can do it, and you definitely can't do anything. And you hear, no, I believe in you, you can do it. This is a terrible situation for a person, for an interaction with a person. You may not do that. You may not. No, you may not. Because Avodah speaks to the Bchira of the person, and that person lost that point of Bchira. He cannot work with his Bchira. And then your words of encouragement are words of you call that a farce in French, I think in English too. It becomes a farce. It becomes a total, very aggressive statement for the person, which he's not able to take in. He's not able to do that. So that's why you have to know that there are limitations of your own work. You want to help people, you are in charge of helping people, you are in charge of working with your bochim or with the people around you, you are in charge of that, and you want to do that in the best way possible, and you mean it really. You want to do the best, and all your motivations are Kodesh Kodoshim, but you're going down the wrong way. Okay, so you have to be very careful. Good? So now, so when that is the case, so that you have to be careful. We'll speak about that afterwards a little bit more. But there's another thing you have to be careful. And the other thing is that where you are able to work, you have to find a way to work. Yeah? You can't now say, okay, we heard a nice drosha, and we heard what the Rav Leuchter said, that you have to be careful not to make a mistake. So I don't want to have any troubles, you know. I am a very big Yerushalayim. I'm nervous. I want to do the right thing. So I don't deal with anything, any problem which comes to you. I just refer it to the psychiatrist. You know, then you do a terrible job. And not a terrible job, you do the wrong thing too. It's also the wrong thing to do. Because when you can help with Bchira, when you can do that, you are obligated to do that. And the obligation to do that is double. First, the obligation of doing that is you are educating the person that in any situation which he will face, he will search for a place or for a possibility to work with the situation. Yeah? That's very important. Very important. And second, a person which is already caught, let's say even a person which is caught in a place where he is not well, the moment he goes for treatment and he gets support, there is a big place for you as an educator that you are working further with the person. You have to be involved further. This, I don't know what is going on in America in the mental health care, but this is a thing which once in a while is neglected today because you have such good psychoactive drugs that you think you take the pill and it's okay. It's never okay, because that's the whole point. The person lost his ability to be human, and then he takes a drug, and now he can be boicher. Boicher in what? Now you have to help him. Now it's your job to help him. You have to help the person that is making the right decisions now and further. Yeah? You just can't rely on drugs, because you have to try to help him that he makes the right decisions. So that is your, very nice, so that is your obligation, that you have to, you are obligated to do that, that you'll tell me how far I can go. How's it? It's good? Good. So you have to do that you have to help the people. You are obligated, that you can't take yourself out. You can't say, no, I will not do that. I have Yerushalayim, and it's a sakanat nefashot, and I will not do this job. You can't do it. You have to go into this difficult work, and you have to try to help the person to make the right decision, but only after he can make a decision. Now, how do you see that? What does it mean he can make a decision or he can't make a decision? What does it mean? How can you see that? So it is a question of a skill also, that could be that you have a certain skill, I don't know, a feeling. That's like all these people, they have a feeling for what's going on, but it is a thing which you could learn. But it's based on an approach to Avodat Hashem, to the whole thing, which you are not used to. And people today are not used to, and this is one of the biggest obstacles in this whole sugya of mental illness and Mussar. People are not used that Avodat Hashem, you have to listen to reality. People are not used to that. They think you have to listen to the book, or you have to listen to the Maasim for the Gdoilim, you know? And when the Godel did that, and then I'll tell you, you can't do it, and you have to do what the other one did, or what it says in the book, or whatever it is, then you will be able to override reality. Rabbi say, you will be never able to override reality. You can't. The Borei Olam made the reality real. You can't override that. You have to work with the reality. You cannot. And one of the most prevalent approaches which are fostering mental illness is that you neglect reality. You just neglect it. You say it's not important. The main point is, what?
The famous saying they say, "En Adam, en davar haomed bifnei ratzono."
That is not, is no Chazal like this. There was never ever mentioned a Chazal like this. I will not go into that. You will find it in the Oitzer HaChochma. You won't find it. You find it in some letter which someone wrote to someone to be mechazak. That's right. You will find it there. But in Chazal you don't find that. There's no way. No way. I will not speak about that now. Otherwise you will jump up and attack me. But no, you can't. By me it says a different. What?
You say the Gaon Villa says Akshar Matzliach. What is that? What is it?
I don't know. I can't build my whole Yiddishkeit on Maisalach, which you say that he said. I have things written. You know, by me, it's very important, this one, and that one. But all these books which say, I heard that he heard, that the other one said that he heard, and then these heard that the other one heard, and there were 10 generations ago. I can't build my Avodas Hashem, and I can't build life dangerous situations out of Sipurim which have no feet and no hands, which most of the Sipurim which are printed in books are not true, most of them. That's what the Hasidim say, not me, okay? So say that, okay, so I can't build my Yiddishkeit from there. I can't do that. Now wait. So we are there. You have to take it into Cheshbon, the reality. The Mesilat Yesharim says that Chazal say, what is Avodas Hashem? The Cheshbon of Avodas Hashem is you have to measure Schar Aveiro Keneged Hefseido. What is that Schar Aveiro? What does it mean? What is Schar Aveiro? It's the pleasure you have out of Aveiro. This is written in any book. Could you tell me a book which writes about the pleasures of making Aveira? When you have such a book, please, you'll recommend it to me. I will read it every day. But there's no such book written. So when you want to base your Avodat Hashem out of written literature, 50% of the demand is lacking for sure. Because not one sefer in the world is written about Schar Aveira. It's only your personal life. It's your life situation. And the Hefset Mitzvah, there's no sefer written. And you don't have to read the Chazal like this. That's the way you read it. You have to make shekel. Then, Schar Aveira, Keneged Hefseido, Hefset Mitzvah, Keneged Schoro. That's the way you read. No, the Gemara has no nigun. Both sides are important equally. Otherwise, it's not Keneged. You can't say Hefset Mitzvah, Keneged Schoro. That's not Keneged, because it's absolutely not the same thing. The Hefset Mitzvah is as important as Schoro. And the Schar Aveira is as important as Hefseido in your Avodas Hashem. You thought once about that one? No, never. Because you only say, how sweet is it to daven? How great it is to daven? How inspired Rabdon Segal is? How great was Rab Chaim Falaji? How big that was? That's what you do day and night, in and out. You try to convince yourself that there are no problems in Avodas Hashem. You are against Chazal. You are against Chazal in Bava Basra. You are against that. You will be not Matzliach. You can't be Matzliach against Chazal. You can't. And people think they can. I only think about Schar Mitzvah. I only think about Hefsed Avera. That's it. You are against Chazal. By me personally, a person which goes against Chazal is Apikoros. That's right. So I don't want to call you an Apikoros. But you are against Chazal. Okay? Kibalta. Okay. Pasha Kibalta. So that's what it is. people go 180 degrees against Chazal because they think the Hefset Mitzvah is unimportant and the Schar Aveira is unimportant. Never mind what you feel, never mind what you think. The main point is you should have a chizuk in learning, and that will make the job. It will not make any job. No, it will not. Because you neglect 50% of what you have to take into cheshbon. That's what it says. You know? I was not mechadish that one. That's what Chazal said. Okay? So they're taking into account the reality is a big part, is at least 50% of the part of our Avodas Hashem. And when we don't do that, we will never discern that someone lost his Bechira, because we think it's unimportant where you are holding, whether you feel great or you feel difficult, whether you have a difficult situation, badly. And you know what's the right thing to do? Yes, I know. So please do it and be mischazik to do the right thing. But this is achzorius, because the life situation he's caught in is that things are so difficult that he's not able to do it. Yeah? He's not able to do it. We don't see that. You can't see it. You can't see it because you try to convince yourself and others that only the righteous thing to do, that is what counts, and everything else has to be neglected. And then you will never see the reality of the Avodas Hashem, and you will never see the possibility that the person lost his Bechira, because you don't take into account at all that there is something there which makes the person not able to do the thing. You don't take that into account, because the thing is clear. You have to learn, you have to daven, so what? Please do it. I heard, told over, you know, when you know, I don't know whether you saw that once, but perhaps you know, people in the Haredi community think like that. When you have an eating disorder, so the most, that's not so much nogea to bochim, they're much more nogea to girls, but an eating disorder is a life-threatening situation. A home, anorexia call that. Perhaps you saw once someone dying from that. Yeah? But there are Haredi people which think, when someone has an eating disorder, you simply have to encourage him, please eat, and you have to encourage him to eat, and that will go. It will not! It will not go! And you kill the person like this. You kill him! I don't know whether you saw someone which died from that. Yeah? People are dying from that. No, you can't encourage only. The person lost the Bechira. The person is caught in a place where there are no two ways. So you can't encourage. It's the right thing to eat. For sure. It's even geschmack to eat. For sure. It's a very natural thing to eat. For sure. But the person can't. It doesn't go. Yeah, you can't. Mental illness. Come people along, which are frum, and they say, no, there's no mental illness. You simply have to encourage the girl to eat. And then she'll eat. No, she won't. And she'll die. Yeah? You take that on your shoulders? I'm not taking that on my shoulders. I don't take that, no. Because you can't. You have to see. The person lost his Bechira. The person lost the ability to decide this simple thing. And this is, okay, so this is, you are, but in the, as an educator, you are obligated, whatever you can, to see the possibility of making a Bechira. There you can be very helpful to work together with people which are even troubled, that you find the possibility to make a Bechira. And that is a tricky thing, because you think because you are caught by that approach, that avoida means that you do the most righteous thing, being a matmid and being learning 24 hours, that is what we have to do. And it's not true. You have to do what you can do with your Bechira. You have to be a London. You have to be a London. You have to understand that even learning 1 minute in a time which you can is worth 1 million. Yeah? 1 minute. Even learning one posuk or for 10 minutes or something like this, it's worth You have to be a lamdan. What does it mean that you're connected to Torah? What does it mean? Rabbi Yisrael Salanter worked on that very hard. That he wanted to establish that even people which are occupied with work, they can be connected to Torah. And then suddenly, the connecting to Torah by Rabbi Yisrael was not the learning of the text. No, was not. It was something else. Because you have to be a lamdan. What does it mean, being connected to Torah? What does that mean? Yeah? Or, what does it mean, davening? Or what does it mean, ben adam lechavero? What does it mean to smile to someone else? What does it mean helping someone else? You have to find a way how you can work on that. And that is your obligation as an educator in Torah, is that you have to be a lamdan and understand that those demands of Torah, they are able to show up in minor circumstances, in very small actions, in unbelievable small actions. And then the person feels, when you try to educate him right, the person feels that he can be productive and active in that realm. He can do that, yeah? He can. Okay, so that is your obligation. You have to do that, but it goes, that is the hand in hand with a mental illness professional, and you work with him hand in hand, and you are giving the person a possibility that he has a place to make a decision, even a small place, but the small place is unbelievably big. Only to show you that, Rabbi Yisrael in one letter, in one letter, he says why the Jewish nation was zoiche to all these nisim in Pesach, which that comes up. Well, there were memte sharet too, but the way you say, I don't know what that means, but there were ovid avodah zorah. Halolo ovid avodah zorah, but halolo ovid avodah zorah. So why were the zoiche to nisim gluim? So he said because the circumstances were so difficult in Egypt to do anything. Even the smallest thing they did was so big that they were zoiche to nisim gluim because of these things. So, okay? So whenever the circumstances are difficult in your personal life, and your personal life is dragging you down to a tremendous extent, you have to understand even the smallest thing has a content which is unbelievably big. And you have to be a lamdan to see that. That's your work, yeah, Mashi?
I think there's Yerushalmi somewhere, there's a mice, there wasn't rain. And they told them, go to this person because he has a big schus. They went to him, you need to daven for rain. He says, you're coming to me, I'm a nobody, what do you do? So I don't want to tell you, what do you do? He works in the base Zionist. This is the guy to come for rain. He says, we know you're the guy to come for rain, what'd you do today? So he says, I went to the base Zionist, and it was an Ashes ish that sold herself for because she needed money, and I felt bad, and I went and I was paid to her, and I let her go free. So that's why he was the one nam for rain. So he's the guy in his matzav. That was his. Yeah. That was his.
When you want to say that, yeah, you see it everywhere, but you have to be a lamdan. That is your obligation. You have to be a lamdan. How do you see that in all these life situations which are so important, there is still a possibility that you are a boicher. So that is your work. But when you make mental illness, you have to be careful that you can't encourage that always. You have to, when he's caught, then you have to try to refer that to the right person. So now I want to show you that the point. How that works out, how that plays out. When we have a life situation, and we are speaking about life situations, so every life situation, you have things which you say naturally. Naturally, you have to be very, very simple. Naturally, a person would feel like this and this. Like, let's say, naturally, a person enjoys eating food. Yeah? Food is the thing you enjoy. So a person comes to you, a bocher comes to you and says, I feel bad with myself, and you know what, I lost my appetite, I don't enjoy food anymore. This is very dangerous. This is extremely dangerous, because this is a place where naturally you should have a connection to. And you lose this connection, that means you lose a deep thing by you, which is close to you lose a bchira. You know, a person which has no taste in food is not able to eat right. Not because of anorexia, that is a different thing, but you lose my taste. For example, for junge Leid, there's a thing which is, I did that, you know, when you lose interest in other people, you are not interested at all in relate to anyone, or you lose, and this is for junge man, when you lose the tam or the tam in relationship to your wife, and you lose that, this is extremely dangerous. Extremely. You can't go further on. From that point, you can't further on, because that's the point where you are on the cliff. Because that means you lose your prayer. You lose your normal involvement in the world, and you lost a part of your personality where you are stuck. You are stuck, because that shouldn't happen. You know? So you have to be very sensitive. What are the places where a person should have a certain feeling or involvement with the world? Yeah, should be. And when a person loses that, their danger begins, and you may not go further on. You have to say, okay, now I don't work with you, but a little bit, you know, perhaps you eat once a month with a taste or things like this. That's not the right place to do, because that is losing the normal connection to the world, and there the person enters a very dangerous zone, and you may not go further on. You have to refer to a mental health professional where he can evaluate whether he needs medical help or not. Not always needed, yeah, not always, but you have to refer. When a person feels that he is always, let's say, a person feels that he is always under pressure because he feels that people are against him. So you have to be very careful that that's not a normal way to relate to people, and that's a thing which could be a sign of a mental illness. Because normally I don't feel that you are against me. Even now you look at me with a face when I don't know how to read your face. That would be a very dangerous face. You look up like this. So I said, perhaps he wants to kill me, you know. But that's the wrong message I got from you. You know, but no. It's not, even when you look at me like this and you listen to me, you don't want to kill me. There are people which feel that. It's a very wrong interaction with other people. There are other feelings which you have to find, that you are able to see. There are certain feelings, a person comes to you, which they are the sign of, over here is a danger of mental illness. And normally the signs are that normal interaction with the world is distorted. Yeah? Because that is a very big sign that the guy is not able to make a decision because the basis is lacking. You know, he doesn't stand on normal ground, so he can't make a normal decision. So that is what's going on with this mental issues vis-a-vis Mussar. So it is not that Mussar is a Mussar or avoida or work the way we say it. It's not all Mussar. So Mussar goes on avodas Hashem. But there is also work which you do with your own midas, simply to arrange yourself in the world. It's not only, what counts is not only that you are doing always the mitzvahs, that's a question of Mussar, but not Mussar is that you are arranging yourself in the world. So this is all based on that you are able to make the right decision. That's all based on that. What you are is a boicher. You make decisions. You are by a crossroad, and you try to go the right way. And then you have to make a cheshbon. And the cheshbon, according to the Mesilas Yesharim, is hefsed mitzvah keneged schoro, v'schar aveiro keneged hefseder. That means you are taking into account the situation you are caught in. That is the hefsed mitzvah, and it's the schar aveiro. That is your own situation you are caught in, and you are taking that into account, what you are obligated, what you are caught in, and you make this shikul, you know. That's a very awkward way to say it, but that's what Chazal say. Yeah? You have to make the cheshbon of the hefsed mitzvah keneged schor. Yeah? So when you are flawed, then you say, okay, I have to make that once in my life, and then I see that the schar mitzvah is much bigger than any hefsed in the world, so I make it only once in my life, and that's it. And then you don't do what the Mesilas Yesharim says, because he says by every single crossroad you do that. You make that again and again. Very awkward, that's right. Today you would be happy to erase that. People are very happy to erase that. Schar mitzvah, hefset the mitzvah is nothing. So you say by the age of 13 at your bar mitzvah, and from then and onwards you know what's the truth, and you go with that truth. No. No. The Mesilas Yesharim says not like this. By every single crossroad you make again, that's cheshbon. Because by every single decision, you take into account your life situation you are caught in. Yeah? That's very important. And you take your life situation, you try to do that, you try to think like a London, but when you see a person which is caught in something, can't get rid of it. I remember I once was caught in a panic attack, you know. Beleil Rosh Hashanah, 1 o'clock in the morning. So now you can say it is because you are a tzaddik. No, it's not. It's not because I'm a tzaddik. I know why it happened to me. It happened to me out of an entirely other reason. And I was called in a panic attack 1 o'clock in the morning, Rosh Hashanah, and you have to daven tomorrow. Tomorrow I have to daven, you know, a long Shmona Esrei, like the Golas. And it's 1 o'clock in the morning, you can't go to sleep. So that was a loss of Priya. I wasn't able to go to sleep. Well, you can't, I don't know whether you had once a panic attack. When you have a panic attack, you can't go to sleep, you can't. It's the last thing you want to do. But you have to go to sleep. So I granted you how to deal with that, but that was not the knowledge of Mussar. That was the knowledge of Mussar. I dealt with that in a certain way, it went away. Yeah? But when I wouldn't know that, I wouldn't say, but it's such a big thing tomorrow, the Shmona Esrei, and I would be worse, and then it would make it worse, and then it would make it worse, and I would come tomorrow to the Shachas HaMusaf like this, ois mensch. No, I came to Shachas HaMusaf fine, because I was able to sleep, because I knew how to deal with that. But when you don't know how to deal with that, it's terrible. Believe me, it's terrible to be caught in a place where you can't do anything with the matzav you are in. It's terrible. You have no prira. You have no prira, absolutely. Absolutely no prira. Yeah? Okay? Yeah.
What if someone makes honestly the shikul?
Man?
What if someone makes the shikul mitzvah mitzvah, and he finds out that there is a bigger hefsed mitzvah?
So then you have to tune down. That's a lomdus. You have to tune down. That means the mitzvah, let's say, the mitzvah is that I have to learn 4 hours without hefsek at least, or I have the koil at least 3 hours. 9 till 1 is the koil, so 9 till 12 I have to learn without hefsek. Without any time looking up from the Gemara. Reb Chaim was able to do that 18 hours. I see that I have a free time, and I don't have I take my telephone out, and I take everything out, and I have a free time. No one is bothering me. No one is bothering me, and I want to be really ehrlich, and I want to learn 3 hours straight. And I do that. I begin to learn, and then I collapse. Doesn't go. So what you do now? So that means the hefsed mitzvah is bigger than the schal. I can't do it. So what you do, don't give up on learning, you have to tune that thing down. And you have to say, okay, I will learn less. I will first see how much am I able to learn now in a normal way. 20 minutes, half an hour, I'm able to learn half an hour. From there, I build up. Because then the hefsed mitzvah is not too much. But when I make the mitzvah as 3 hours learning, the hefsed is too much. Yeah? It's too difficult. I can't do it. Okay? And when I force myself in such a place, I destroy myself. I have it myself. I can't tell you that it's only to show you how that works. Also taking into account the life situation, and perhaps to show you how that works. I was a mashgiach in yeshiva for 7 years, 8 years, and then someone came to me and said, you are not in the right place dealing with bochim, you have to deal with young light. You have to open a koil and try to educate young light. Very nice. I love learning, I love doing that learning. And I was very happy that I don't have to run after Bochum. Where were you yesterday night? And why no, I don't have to run after Bochum. I leave them alone, I work with them, learn with them. So I'm the Rosh Kedel, and we learn HaKosef. And HaKosef is one of the, when you learn Ksubis and you learn it from the beginning, it is the Chapiras Chasanim and the Psulim and B'yom Revi, it basically do was the Tondalton. But when you learn HaKosef from the beginning, it is real Ksubis, you know. People quarrel and you don't know what to do with the money, and it's unbelievable. And I wanted to learn, the Seder Aleph is 4 hours, so I'm the Rosh Kedel. But when you are Mashgiach, your head is kaput. That's what the Mashgiach does 7 years, you know, because every 20 minutes you have to change your mode, you know. How are you? Very good to see you. When you don't come to the tefillah tomorrow, I'll kill you. Mazel tov for the shidduch. You know, you change your brain every 20 minutes, does something else, and that had an effect on my own thinking process. I was sitting there 2 hours. I was learning fine. After 2.5 hours, I felt all these Spielkes, which you see the Bochum, and you can't sit. I'm the Rosh Kedel. I myself sit like this. I can't sit through. After 3 hours, I go to take a cup of tea, perhaps that will help, didn't help. After 3.5 hours, I ask my Chavrusa, perhaps do you have problems with Shalbais, I'll help you. To my amazement, the guy had problems with Shalbais, and I was able to help him, but that's not the curl about, you know? That wasn't the curl about. So how do you do that? So now you are, what's last? That was happening. I tell you what happened with me. So now, but you are now obligated to learn 4 hours. But I can't. I cannot. And now I begin to pressure myself. That's not Bchira. I begin to pressure myself. Didn't work. Didn't do anything. I pressure myself. I can't learn 4 hours. That's the whole thing. Thing is Megach Tos. Till I found out, no, I don't have to focus why you do not learn 4 hours. I have to focus, why do you learn 2 hours? I never thought about that. Why I am not in the beginning just sitting like this? Why I'm able to sit 2 hours? What is interesting for me in learning? Why do I learn 2 hours? And then I found out which Keichas HaNefesh are involved by me, by learning 2 hours. And then I was by the next crossroad, I was able to see, I now take that Keich a little bit further. And I was able to push, within 1 week, I was able to learn 4 hours. Yeah, but not in the way that I took the junk of 4 hours, tried to eat that didn't go. I took the 2 hours and I made them like this. But you have to be a London. I had to understand, why do I learn 2 hours? I don't know whether anyone over here thought once, why does he learn 2 hours? I don't know whether you know what is connecting you to learning. And Baruch Hashem, for sure. Same thing as we spoke beforehand. It's such a big mitzvah, for sure. What for sure? But what Keich HaNefesh is connecting you to learning? It's for sure not what is by me. I have a very awkward way. What connects me to learning? Why I'm interested in learning is not what interests the most people. I'm not interested in that, what the most people are interested in. So that's an awkward way to connect. But I connect to learning, but I didn't know why. I had to make this cheshbon hanefesh, why I am collecting learning, and then I was able to make that grow. That's called avodah. That's called bchira. That's called I am by a crossroad, and I think which way to go. And it was difficult, but it was a difficulty which I was able to deal with. But the difficulty of 4 hours in a junk, I wasn't able to deal with. And I had to tune down, and then you can grow. Yeah? So this is what Mussar gives you. This is what the Mussar is, that work with yourself. You work with yourself, but when you have a thing which you can't make a decision, and I believe me, I went through such a thing by such a panic attack. I didn't take medicine. I had a certain way how to deal with that, because I learned it, because I read the books. You know, that was the only time these books were helping me myself. I learned how to do that, and within a half an hour I was back to sleep. but it was a thing which I don't forget. To be caught in a place where you have no bchira, it's the last place you want to be in. It's the last place, you don't want to be there. And now you come as a educator, and someone is caught in such a place where he has no bchira, and you encourage him and say, yeah, noch a bissel, you know, then a little bit more, and then another day, and it will be okay. Where was he?
Is it beneficial when you see that person, that place, to so to say validate him and say, I understand that you're in a situation where
You have to know how to do that. That is very helpful. You have to know how to do that. For example, I had twice in my life. Someone wanted to commit suicide in front of me. Not he didn't want to commit in front of me, but he was in front of me, sitting in front of me. And that's the most disastrous situation you can be in, because you feel that you are now responsible for their life, and you can't tell the guy that he shouldn't do it. You can't tell him, because then he will be disconnected from you. But you can't tell him, okay, you do it, gewaltig, but in a certain way you have to do that. You have to say, okay, you have to be very calm, and you sweat, but you be very calm and try to connect with the guy in his disaster. And that's a very tricky thing. You have to know how to do that, and you have to have enough sensitivity how to do that. But this is a general thing which you can learn in other situations too.
That technique, I think, is, and I'm not saying you're going to teach it now, but that technique is, I think, is one of the most important techniques.
No, it's
in front of you, that
you need to work on Noishe Bol
a guy walks in, make it easier. He has 3 angels on his shoulder.
3
angels on his shoulder. He walks in, he tells you, you see them all often? I have 3 angels on my shoulder.
Yeah.
So there's 2 malachim. One is you out of your mind. There's no angels here. The other malach is, I see them, but neither of them are correct. Right? So the right way, I
can't know what the right way is.
The right way, this is what a little bit, I don't know, is you seem to be under tremendous stress due to the angels that you feel that are on your shoulder.
That you could say, that's right.
So
but you can't say you see the
angels. I'm saying, right, I'm saying, so either one, I'm saying both mahalchim don't work. The mahal that works is that you be...
Yeah, it's Noishe Bol Chavera.
Yeah.
So you have to learn how to be Noishe Bol Chavera, tricky thing. That's one of the most difficult miles, most difficult things to acquire is Noishe Bol Chavera. But most people don't do that. When you go once in a while to a shiva, you once in a shiva, which people try to convince the guy that something very good happened to him. You were once such a shiva? You know, someone
Shiva.
Shiva.
I thought you said yeshiva. Shiva call. Someone's nifter.
Someone's nifter, yeah? Someone's nifter. And you go there, and then you see the people who try to convince it's everything for the good. That's right? You never saw that?
For sure. I was there. I saw a guy, his son was nifted the day before, and he said, the guy in the Vilna said, if you would know how your son's dancing in Gan Eden now, you'd be there.
That doesn't last. No, that's not the right approach. No, mamish no. That we Noishe Bol Chavera. The situation is a disaster. Don't be afraid to be Noishe Bol Chavera. But we are afraid from all these things. We don't do that. And that's much easier than mental illness. The guy is not mentally ill. The guy is grieving. It's not mentally ill. But you don't want to be together with him. You want to be in another place. And then you want to schlep him into another place where he doesn't belong. No, he now belongs to the place where he is grieving. And you have to be with him. People don't do that. It's a lack of Noishe Bol Chavera. Yeah? The beginning of that you can help a person is that you are appreciating his life situation is in, and you go into that. So even the life dangerous situation, or the situations of someone which is definitely mentally ill, that's also the way to do it. But you have to work on Noishe Bol Chavera. No choice.
But if you do that and make a mistake, you're much worse off than you were before.
So I understand that. You have to learn how to do that. So I don't I told it. You have to learn how to do that. Yeah.
Is Mashgiach against inspiration without revealing the reality? Let's say makar of somebody.
What is?
Is Mashgiach against inspiring somebody without revealing the reality, what's in front of them? A lot of times you want to inspire somebody, but the reality, it's not going to be the way he's so sweet you're making it.
And that you should tell him everything is for the good or something like this?
A lot of times inspiration is that way, when you want to inspire, it's so beautiful, like in Kiruv, But in reality, it's not really like that.
In Kirov is a different. Kirov is a different thing. Yeah,
But that's what-
I'm not so much about that. I'm not about that. This inspiration which has no. The check is not covered. I don't like these checks. You once went to the bank with a check and you thought you'll get the money and then you don't get it. So you don't like it either, no?
You don't tell them about Taras Mishpacha till it's...
That I think, Taras HaMishpacha is the first thing you say by a Kirov HaReuven. That's what I think. But people are against me. Because you create a time bomb by the guy, when you don't tell that. And I think you can speak about Taras HaMishpacha. I did that with Freie people in a way which I really understand, that it makes really sense. It's only when you have a problem with that, then you can't give that, But when you have no problem with that, and it makes really sense, as the covered of the other person, and not out of, she is a princess. When you say that, I vomit, My wife is not a princess, Bo Hashem. No, she's not. She's a wife, a woman, But she has her dignity, and she has her private sphere, and things like this. And there's a big thing that you are in one room, closed doors, closed windows, and you are together, and you are longing one for the other. That's an unbelievable dimension in personal relationship. Ave begagui, but you are in one room, and no one sees you. The people are stunned when you give that over in the right way. They are just, wow. They would never think like this.
It's also schar mitzvah connected aver. It's the same thing. You don't want to mention the hefsed mitzvah.
Okay, I do understand that. But I gave a shield to a group, there were Freie people there, and I had no fear to say that, and that was very good for them. It was sincere. It was deep. It was something to strive to. It was something they're not holding there, but they knew what's in store. I don't tell you, in store is only chalas, which you could buy in the 2 pitot in the store makes the same job as your chalas which your wife made. And your candle lighting, you can put the electricity on. It's the same thing, does the same job, You can put the electricity on, according to the sheeters, So you can put the electricity on, and you buy you can make Shabbos. I very much like the Sholoshudas by Rabbi Sutton. Sholoshudas, you get 2 small pitot in one plastic. That is lechem mishne esser. That's it. I wanted to import that for Shabbos by night. But what's this? Say kleine pitot, and that's it. Finished. No problem. But what you do, you sell this thing which smells so nice, but the real thing you hide, and then he wants to be closer or she wants to be closer, and then problems begin because they don't know what's in store. To check without kisui, No. Okay, that's already killed. Yeah, Bashi.
When you said that you lost the bechira, how can you even use the techniques that you mentioned if you don't have the bechira to use them?
And how did I work on that? On my panic attack, I don't have to tell you. What?
If you lose the bechira, how can you have the bechira to choose to use the technique?
Because you don't lose the bechira everywhere. You are not like this. You lose the bechira to go to sleep. You use you can do other things. You are not stuck like this when you are depressed. It's not that person who goes into a catatonish. It doesn't get non-movable. It's not movable. You can move, other things. But in that realm, I wasn't able. Yeah.
So if you see a person that has limitations, so you can't tell him that he could do it.
Yeah.
Because of here. So what do you tell him? You tell him, listen, you're mentally ill and you can't do it. You should see someone.
What says limitations? No. Limitations.
He doesn't have a
No, limitation was sick limitations.
Someone that you talk about that.
Anorexia or things like this. You have to go to tell me.
And tell him you're mentally ill.
This is a question how to say it. I once said that to a person, which was very helpful for the person. But that it depends when you want to do that. I did that, yes. But it depends how you. There was a person by me which was had OCD very bad. A lady, they were married, a couple. OCD very bad, and she was in treatment. and she was in treatment, and that was the case. She was in treatment, and the treatment didn't work really so much, and they came to me. So I said, Geweret so and so, you are in treatment by this guy, by the person there. What is your goal in the treatment? And then she said, I want to get rid of the OCD. Yeah? So I told her, my dear lady, you are wrong. You know what? You are Meshuggah, and you will be Meshuggah forever. That's what you are. But you don't have to be Meshuggah like this. You can't be Meshuggah like that. You can't be happy Meshuggah. Why not? You can be happy, and you can deal with that thing which you are. You don't have to be broken. And she went away, taken aback. She said to her husband, that Leuchter is, she said, thank you very much, the way you say it in a polite way. He said, that Leuchter is crazy, you know that. After a month or 2 months, I meet the husband, and he told me, I have to tell you something. My wife told me, the only thing which helped her ever was what you told her. Because I didn't deny the situation that she lost her bechira, but you can work with that. Now home. So you have to arrange your life together with that you are not well. But you can't push that out always. You can't do that always. And that's what I say, that it's not everyone has the right or has the courage to say that. You know, you shouldn't go to everyone and say, excuse me, bist Meshuggah, bleibst Meshuggah. You know, that's not such a good idea to tell that to people. But at that case, I knew them, so I said it in that way, and it was helpful. Depends whether they feel you want to help them or whatever it is. Okay?
So what's the first step in Mussar in order to reach that goal of being...
I don't want to now to work on Mussar. Okay, how was he?
So what would be a more moderate way of telling the person that you might have a mental illness?
It depends. There are people who speak about that. You can tell them there once in a while. The people are much more receptive when you do that the right way, when you do that, than you think. You think the person gets ballistic when you tell them that. No. You don't have to mention the name of mental illness. You can say, perhaps there is an imbalance in you. There is a substance imbalance which affects your brain or whatever you say. You need to see a doctor. Whatever you say, you can't say that in that way. That normally they say it in that way. But you have to find a way how to say that. But people are much happy when you acknowledge and appreciate the situation they are in, much more than you think.
What if he feels like he's in denial?
Okay, denial is another thing. Okay, I don't know. We can't deal now with all the different cases. Yoshi?
How do we figure out how to tone down his bechira and show him how to... If he comes to me and I see he has no bechira, how do I help him find where his makom bechira is?
Okay, so when he is caught in a dangerous situation, he needs treatment. But the treatment doesn't make everything okay. You have still to help him. And that's what I meant. You have to be a lamdan. You have to find a minor thing in his life where he feels active. I do that. I'm not this. You think now that mental illness 24/7. That's not the case. But once in a while you feel depressed. I don't know whether you feel that too. You know, even though you look at me like this and I make jokes day and night, but once in a while I feel depressed. Not depressed in a way which I can't move, but depressed, bad mood. Now I have no energy to prepare a shiur or things like this. What do you do then? So you force yourself to prepare a shiur. No, that's achzoris copy yourself. You don't want that. I have no kayach. What do you do? So I make order on my desk. That's it. Yeah, it's also being active. Leuchter, do you really? I once in a while even take the dust cleaner, how do you call it? Dyson, you know, these things. I take that and I take away the dust from the behind, you know, and then here and on the forehead, and then I feel very happy because I did something. But when you would ask me, what is the purpose of Rabbi Leuchter coming to this world? It's cleaning up his desk. No, it's not. It's not. But in that situation, the cleaning up my desk is the activity which makes me feel that I am still active. And then from there I can go further on. Yeah? For example. Yeah?
what could someone do if, let's say, he has his own reality and then the system has a different reality that's required for him to do? For example, let's say Seder. Seder's 4 hours.
Yeah.
The guy knows he could do 2 hours and maybe he could do another hour of Chumash, but he can't be sitting in first Seder doing an hour of Chumash in front of the Rebbe.
This is one of the things which I think for people which have problems with that, the system once in a while is crushing them. So one has to find a way to do that. You have to find, as a teacher, you have to find a way, or as a father, you have to find a way to do that. I had it also with one of my children, wasn't able, so the system was so not ready for that, so I had to take him, to put him on the margin of the system, you know. But by Edson, that wasn't needed. Only the system didn't have an opening for such a boy. Yeah? I didn't know myself what to do. But he developed nicely afterwards, you know. But he developed in another way than his friends. But a very positive way. Okay? Atkan?
What?
Finished? I have to finish one. Absolutely. What my age?
How do you know if a person is really stuck or he's really being lazy? How do you know? How do you really know if a person's not really working on himself, he's really stuck, that he really lost his bechira? How do I know that?
Laziness is not specific. A person is lazy is not specific. Laziness is something which spreads out everywhere. So when you see a person which is spreading out everywhere, that he is not active, he's heavy, you don't have to think that he lost his bechira. And that a person normally is not lazy when it comes to food. That's what I meant beforehand. That means he is not a lazy person, doesn't lose his taste of food. He doesn't. But a person which lost his bechira, there's a specific thing which he loses, not everything. Yeah? That doesn't occur like that, everything. It's very difficult for me to get out of the bed, but otherwise I'm functional, things like this. Or I feel I want to do a thing, but I have a low energy, or things like this, these things, they are a sign. But a lazy person says, I don't want to do it, you know? And you know what say. So the laziness is the thing which is overall. They say laziness is like mold. It's like ovesh. That's what it is. So ovesh is not much. We are not ovesh only on one. It's the whole fruit, or the whole thing gets moldy. Yeah? So that's what laziness is. Yeah.
One thing Mashgiach talks about in this mimer is about being mavchen OCD. You need to train mechanchim.
And I tell you, that was a meiser. He said that whole mimer because in Ponevesh Nebach there was a bocher, which a bocher was considered to be a tzaddik, and he washed his hands and did all these things OCD bocher does, and they weren't aware, and they thought he's a tzaddik. And then he went to Tverje and he bought a bottle of benzene, put it on the bed, put himself on the bed and burned himself on the bed. And then in Ponevesh they said, Weiße, you have to do something about these things, you know. And that's the mimer because of that. But that's why he speaks about OCD. Because that bocher there had OCD. Yeah? Because that was a tragic situation and people didn't know that. They didn't know that there is an OCD going on, and they thought it's tzitkas. And there's nothing further from tzitkas than this, you know. The long Shmona Esra once in a while you see, and the long, endless Shmona Esra, and you are very afraid, and you think perhaps he's really a tzaddik, and he really attacked all the oilers. Ich darf doch reden mit dir. Okay, so you want me to, in Shmona Esra you speak, I always tell that to people. Shmona Esra you speak to the oiler, that's right, that's what you do. So, you want me. So you want me to speak like this? No. So why the Beroilum wants that from you? You have to speak to the Beroilum, no? So why does he want that? Why do you have a Havaminit that this is tzitkas? Where does that stem from? From your insecurity. No, we have to be very secure. Tefillah means you speak to the Beroilum. So you don't have to speak quickly, you can speak like a Talmud, you can speak very slowly, and word by word, bakashat. You can do that. But you can't have a Shmona Esra, half an hour. No, then you don't speak anymore. Eh? I had that by me in yeshiva. I had a bocher which was very normal. In the day, only davened extremely wrong. Eh? And people thought he's Meshuggah. So that was tricky. So I myself also thought he's Meshuggah. I spoke with him and I saw that he's absolutely normal. The interaction with people is normal, the learning is normal. And I asked him about his davening. I says, I take this davening, I have these forums which are very inspirational, and I take that very seriously. That's why I daven so long. Yeah? And it was ad kedei kach that he davened long, that when he was sitting Shiva after his father, he didn't go for the Omet, the year. He didn't, because it bothered him. That's not good. That's not okay. So I told him once a day you have to daven mincha in front of the Omet or Ma'ariv. You have to do once a day, not more. And he did it. But I saw, and this was a courageous step. I saw the guy was normal. I mean, he was like Meshuggah lo yisadovo, that to daven. It was normal. And then came the shidduchim, and they asked me, and I recommended the guy warmly. He was a very good person, Ben Adol Chaveiroi and London and whatever you want. But he davened really very low, very. So that's not always wrong. Very low. And I recommended him, and the shidduch worked out. After they made the shidduch, they had another daughter. They called me when they have another boy to propose to the other daughter because they were so happy with this first shidduch. It's not always the way you think. People may behave differently than what you think has to be. You have to be big enough to see that people may behave differently, but you have to monitor that, because once in a while it's a sign of OCD, and once in a while it's a question of where is Hashem. It's not clear, so that was the case. He wasn't compulsive. He simply was his life. He wasn't compulsive by him. That's what I felt. And I went for that. I was shivering. I didn't know exactly whether I know exactly what's going on. I can't know, but I gave him the benefit of doubt when he wants to say like this, because it was absolutely normal in the other case. And then he made a shidduch, and they were so happy that they said, we want another one like this. Okay? At Khan, I have to go, I have to a little bit rest, and then I have another shidduch for waiting. Sei gesund.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead, thank you.
So maybe you will say that where is it? It's here, no. Nowhere. Somewhere.
Chaim Berlin.
I'm Berlin, yeah, but where is it?
Coney Island between
No.
Okay, I don't know where it is. I don't know where it is.
How do you